Most Minecraft worlds you create or are a part of don't last more than a couple of weeks, but every once in a while there will be that one special world. Maybe you created it on your own and it's strictly a single player world, or you created it with a bunch of friends. Or maybe it's a custom map used for an SMP server that you were a part of. Every once in a while, a world comes along that lasts longer than just a couple of weeks. When you play on a world for nearly 2 years, you grow a connection to it. It starts to become more of just something in a game, a world in Minecraft, and becomes a place. Somewhere you feel like you're familiar with. It feels like somewhere you live, somewhere you actually call home. When you first started out in this world, you didn't know it very well. You were kind of lost. Didn't have much direction, and maybe even did get lost the first time you joined. But as time goes on, the world starts to become more familiar. That mountain is something you're familiar with. You know what all the sides of it look like. You know the best way to climb to the top of it. You know what's on the other side. That river you've followed before. You know where it leads. You know where it ends. That cave system beneath your base. You've explored it. Most of it. Maybe there's some avenues you haven't taken yet, but it's mostly cleared out of ores at this point. And as time goes on, you learn your world more and more. You find secrets about it. A cave you didn't realize was there. A cool mountain that was just out of render distance somewhere you were exploring, that now thinking about it you laugh that you didn't see it when you were exploring, and had you just gone a little bit further you would have found it. As time goes on and you build more and more, you start building into areas you don't know as much as you do other areas. Your base starts to expand, and areas that you remember feeling so distant when you first started the world are now just another part of your base. And maybe you're on a server with other people, and maybe the various towns and other bases that people have built and things that you have worked on and helped with have grown. They've become more. That town you helped start now has builds in it that you had no hand in, but are amazing and add so much to the place. As time goes on in this world you've created that you've been playing on for some time now, maybe some months, you now start to explore more. You start seeing parts of the world that you could have never dreamed of seeing when you first joined. You venture out thousands of blocks, go to the edge, or at least what feels like the edge of the world. Again, maybe you're on multiplayer, and you discover things that people have built that you never realized were there. Heck, maybe you discover entire towns and villages that were built possibly before you even joined the world. But as time goes on, this world becomes more and more familiar. You start to know the very ins and outs of the entire world. You are familiar with the overworld and the nether. You've conquered the ender dragon. You have an elytra and you fly everywhere now. It's not that same young world you once knew. Your original house is dwarfed by many of the builds you have done since. Your original storage room needed an expansion because it was simply too small. As time goes on, there's farther to travel to get to places. And you start revisiting older areas, building up builds and places that were kind of a little bit empty between previous builds that you had done. You start building up farms for the sake of just having that item. But things have started to slow down. The world isn't in its heyday. Maybe things in your personal life, in real life, have come up and you just don't have the time to spend on the world. Maybe you've been playing on a different world with friends and you only come back to this one maybe once a a week or two. But eventually, everything comes to an end. You've had this world since a completely different part of your life. And now things are moving, things are changing, and you're moving on. Maybe you slowly just forget about the world. Maybe you lose the world. Or maybe it simply happens to be that the season of the SMP that you were a part of ended. And now you have to move on from that world you had played on with everyone for years. And so, everything must come to an end. But, for every ending, there is a new beginning. Thanks for watching.